in this era of disruption, digital is a reality of our life. You got to read more.
The telehealth services, so for the patients to be connected to doctors, Owen Kementerian Kesihatan, for the doctors to then consult and offer a referral for the patient to perform a test if required.
So if you had that level of trust already with your team members, then it's easier for you to say, okay, now that I can't see you on a daily basis, how do we then operate?
These are actual challenges of adopting cloud. It's not about the trust anymore. It's about our infrastructure, our connectivity. Are they stable and fast enough to support the business and also the consumers to continue to adopt more cloud services?
Talented individuals with in-demand skill in any sector now realize that they can live, they choose and work where they're qualified. And talent is the new global currency.
Pembiayaan antara rakan setara P2P atau peer-to-peer di Malaysia semakin mendapat perhatian sejak akhir ini. microLEAP, sebuah syarikat atau operator P2P yang telah diberikan lesen dan dikawal selia oleh Suruhanjaya Security Malaysia.
microLEAP is an Islamic and conventional P2P microfinancing platform. So funds are raised through our platform from the crowd. So instead of getting financing from the bank, you're actually getting financing for maybe 100 people financing your business. So we allow Sharia-compliant financing on our platform. So for example, your makcik in Kuala Pilah that wants 10,000 ringgit, they may raise those funds through our platform and it will be funded by maybe 100 to 200 people.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Top in Tech.
Okay, go ahead, Prem.
Yeah, okay, great. Welcome to Top in Tech. And today we're talking about Fintech, the growing digital momentum. It's really a question of what's happening with incumbents and are they moving fast enough to face the disruptors. The growing digital momentum is financing investment is expanding to serve empower the vast numbers of SMEs in Malaysia. P2P financing is one example that has been benefiting micro SMEs. Personal investments via robo-advisors have also been gaining more trust with the innovation in IoT and AI technologies. And we also want to know more how things will move. Is it wise for DIY investors in this age? And a big thanks to our sponsors in this episode, which is microLEAP and Payfo. So over to you, Karamjit, for this exciting episode of Top in Tech.
Yeah, correct. And I think it's exciting because we want to talk about the digital momentum, right? So do we still have that momentum now 4 years into the new year, right? And 13 months after the pandemic first hit, obviously there was momentum last year, which caught a lot of people by surprise. It was a forced momentum. And now that this is now the new normal, we're adjusting back to life, living with the pandemic. And, I think some of you would have seen that WhatsApp going around where Japan is now telling its citizens that, the pandemic, the virus is here. We got to live with it. It's part of our life and that long list of things to do. So, it's interesting. It is definitely the new normal. And we've got some interesting entrepreneurs here to share with us what they are doing and how they are being disruptive. And we're going to start with, HelloGold. And I like HelloGold because it is very much targeting the B40 population. And it's quite amazing how small one of the questions we had that we'll ask later is about nano P2P financing. And, these guys probably reinvented the word nano. So we're going to let Ridwan come on the show now. And Prem, you can take a back seat. Yeah, for now. And Ridwan, welcome to the show.
Hi, Karamjit.
Hey. And the stage is yours. Should I say not stage? I'm still used to the very old physical conference setting. The monitor is yours. The screen is yours. Tell us why you guys set up and what is the interesting thing about HelloGold.
Okay, thanks. I'll just share my screen.
Sure.
You can see it.
Yep.
Yep. So hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Ridwan Abdullah. I'm the co-founder of HelloGold, Hello Finance now. So we started HelloGold about 5 years ago now, me and my partner, Robin. And ultimately, we wanted to structure products that were more affordable to the average man on the street. So our first product was HelloGold. So ultimately what HelloGold is, it's an app you can download. So what we do is we buy physical bullion, which we vault in Singapore. And you can actually buy fractions of ownership of this gold. So it's buying gold, physical gold. So the minimum buy on our platform is RM1. And we've used this RM1 actually to structure a lot of other products as well. Because ultimately what we believe in is that we're addressing a large problem, right? The world talks about the unbanked, right? Now in Malaysia, we don't have that big of an unbanked population. So I think it's 6-7%. But there's quite a lot of people who are underserved, right? So the analogy is, if you have $1 million, where do I save it? Where do I put it? There's quite a lot of instruments available. But if I only have $10, where do I put this money, right? So, these are some key statistics that we've seen globally. There's about 2.5 billion who are either underserved or unbanked. A lot of them hold their money, about 620 billion of that in cash.
Wow.
And what is interesting is that 80% of people in ASEAN actually don't borrow from a financial institution. They use credit communities, friends and families, sometimes pawnbrokers, illegal money lenders, so on and so forth. So, we've set out to sort of try and solve this thing, right? Now, what is interesting is actually how gold has performed, especially, for us in emerging markets.
Sure.
So, what we did is that we back tested the performance of gold. So ultimately for this chart is that you look at 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years. If you put $100 in any one of these products, so cash, which is effectively a FD, you invest into the KLCI and the KLCI index, or you put it into gold, this would have been the return that you get. Because the reality is that a lot of us earn in whatever currency that we live in. So we have risk to that, right? So no matter how clever you are, you have very little control over your currency risk as a country, right? As an individual, right? So, what we tell a lot of people is that, if you're saving, X amount every month, you should be keeping anywhere between 5 to 15% in gold, because it is an effective hedge against currency volatility, especially in markets like ours.
Okay.
So, just to round off, what we are focused on is that we started off with a gold product. This is a, global data about the key products that people use. So you can see on the top, savings accounts, which is effectively cash products, probably the most widely used, life insurance, and ultimately gold, right? So in a Malaysian context, 22 million have bank accounts. So like I said, we don't have a big unbanked population.
Yep.
13 million have life insurance, and only 2 million invest in the stock market, right? So the reality is that there is still a lot of room for a lot of people to put money into the standard, other than the standard products of FD, which is still a minimum requirement of anywhere between 500 to $1,000. So, what we focused on obviously was the gold product over the last couple of years. We're hoping to launch an insurance product later this year.
Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, to a RM2 cover, which gives you protection against, mainly for Malay Muslims, protection for funeral costs, so that you will be able to draw down money immediately, if there's an unfortunate situation where there's a death in the family. And we're using the gold to actually collateralize against that advance, which allows the insurer to obviously reduce their risk, right? So that's something that we're pretty excited about. So that's what HelloGold is. Like I said, we've been here for about 4 or 5 years, and we're hoping to bring more, relatable and affordable products to the market soon.
Okay, wow, very good, very interesting. Thanks for sharing those data points also. And it is quite stunning to me how you. I for some reason thought the threshold to invest was 10 ringgit. Then I actually went to your website and like my eyes popped up 1 ringgit. And but I guess before I go on to the rest, the big challenge would be if somebody, even Ridwan, has 10 ringgit, they probably won't think it's worthwhile to invest in anything, much less in gold. And I guess you've been around for 5 years. Have you been able to break that mindset that, hey, actually even 10 ringgit also cukup, you can actually start investing? Have you been able to break the mindset, or is still a long journey to get the market to understand you can do that?
Yeah, when we, gold products exist in Malaysia, right? But generally the minimum buy is about a gram.
Yes.
That's about, anywhere between sort of 200, 250 ringgit, right?
Yes.
So on our platform, the average buy is roughly about 60 to 80 ringgit. So we don't get many people who buy $1 a day.
Okay, okay.
But the reality is that for a lot of our customers, especially because of COVID,
yeah,
when gold went on a run,
yes,
earlier last year, it was fulfilling for us because a lot of customers have now made decent increases in portfolio value.
Yep.
With the gold that they've been saving with us since sort of 2017 or so.
Yep. Yep.
So for a lot of them now, they're sort of becoming our advocates and telling their friends that
fantastic,
this is a decent product to sort of use.
Cool. Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Good to hear that. So okay, let's now put you in the background first, and let's bring Tunku Danny from microLEAP. And I know microLEAP is very proud that they are the first P2P operator, peer-to-peer, in the country to offer both Islamic and conventional on the same platform. So Danny, Tunku Danny, welcome to the show. And the screen is yours for the next 3 minutes.
Hi, Karamjit. Good evening, everyone. So as you saw in the video, microLEAP is an Islamic and conventional peer-to-peer or P2P microfinancing platform. Now, what does that actually mean? Basically, it means that we are a fintech player that connects our lenders, which we call investors, to our issuers, which are the borrowers. Now, these borrowers could be micro or small, medium enterprises, but what we are focused on is really the micro enterprise sector.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so the investors can invest or lend from a minimum of only 50 ringgit. And my favorite example, as I said in the video, is your makcik in Kuala Pilah that wants 10,000 ringgit. This could be funded by 100 to 200 people.
Wow.
Yeah, on our platform is microfinancing. So the minimum financing you can raise is 1,000 ringgit and maximum is 50,000 ringgit.
Oh, minimum. So sorry for the makcik example. So if there's even 100 people, I hope all of them don't have a mobile number where they're calling her, hey, you're late payment, are you sure you'll make payment? Right?
Yeah, no. So everything goes through our platform. The investors and the issuer or the borrower, they do not have each other's contact details.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so there are strict Chinese walls between the borrower and the lender. If the lender wants to talk to us and wants to talk to the makcik, then they have to go through us.
Okay.
And vice versa as well.
Yeah, I thought so. Just having some fun there. Okay.
Yeah. No, the actual reason that the P2P industry is set up is according to the SC, which is our regulator, the Securities Commission Malaysia, there's an 80 billion funding gap for micro and small medium enterprises.
Wow, I didn't know that data point. 80 billion ringgit, right?
Ringgit. Yeah.
Wow.
This was based in 2018 on their study. So you can see that a lot of SMEs are looking for financing, but they just don't get it. And the reason they don't get the loans is because, they don't have the minimum 3 years of operations.
Yeah, you're right.
And
yes.
sometimes they don't have the collateral, and the thing about banks only lend to you when you don't need the funds, right?
That's the irony of it, yes.
Yes. So here's where the alternative financing operators such as microLEAP comes into play. We really help the micro enterprises that are underserved or even unbanked. So they may raise financing through our regulated platform.
Wow. Okay. Fantastic. Wow. Okay. I think there's a lot that you guys can do. I mean, it's stunning to me that there's an 80 billion ringgit gap.
It's huge. Yeah.
And also your opportunity is huge, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Opportunity is huge. Wow. So interesting. All right. Great. So thanks for the introduction. And let us just bring on our next panelist first, right? Ezwan, and it's interesting that Payfo was designed and they say that they want to create lasting social impact and they want to be a disruptor also.
Yeah. Sorry, Karamjit, I forgot. There's a quick poll for everyone.
Oh yeah. Your poll.
Have a look on the screen. It says, as an investor, Sharia and/or ethical investments are more important than returns. So you can either pick strongly believe, somewhat disagree, or strongly disagree. Everyone could just quickly do the poll. We can get the answers as quick as possible.
At the end of the session. So yeah, that's a good one. All right. Sorry about that. Yeah, I forgot about your poll. Okay. Good stuff. Okay. Let's bring on Ezwan now from Payfo. And Payfo, by the way, is actually a wholly owned subsidiary of one of the largest investment companies in the country, right? PNMB. And let's see where our friend Ezwan is. I think they've been a low profile. Okay, there you are.
Okay, let me share my slide first.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Karamjit, and thank you, Prem, just now for the introductory. Okay, guys, we have a pool here. Can we have a pool? Before we have a pool.
You also have a pool, okay?
Yes, yes. Okay, guys, this is a poll, and just choose either one and one of the option, and on the session we can see the result. Okay.
I'll be interested to see this result also.
Okay. Okay. Just to introduce myself, Ezwan from Payfo. Okay. Okay. We are a corporate startup owned by Percetakan Nasional Malaysia Berhad, and actually Karam, PNMB is the oldest, one of the oldest company in Malaysia. 134 years.
Oldest in the country, okay.
One of the oldest. One of the oldest. And for Payfo, we are the youngest in the group. We are only going to celebrate third anniversary.
Oh, third anniversary, okay.
This July. And as what you know, the last 2 years, we are much focused on the product development.
Exactly, yeah.
Exactly. And that's
very low profile, yes.
Exactly, exactly. And you know, our objectives are more acting as a venture builders, which more focus on nurturing B2B and B2C fintech product, which we can be strong in, the group can be strong in.
Okay.
And our core competency much involved in wallet, payment, loyalty app, and B2B financing marketplace.
Okay, supply chain.
Okay. As what you can see also, we have a few products which available and going to roll out soon.
Okay.
Joy. Okay, Joy is currently available on the Play Store and to certain captive market, and it's a B2C loyalty app focusing on the cashback, payment, and voucher from merchants. Later on, Prime, I will be I will focus on B2B, insurance, and robo-advisory with partners. And currently, like Gold Finance and like microLEAP can be part of the ecosystem. Credit is our supply chain financing market platform, which aggregate SME link to various type of funder like ECF, P2P, and bank, and in a single platform.
Okay.
And currently we are doing a POC and expecting to go live by third quarter of this year.
Third quarter, okay.
Yes, keep close eye on this platform here, because we expected to have more features apart from the supply chain financing. It's maybe trade finance financing and cross-border.
Oh, okay. And that's coming, okay.
Okay. Lastly, our product is a micro marketplace whereby it allows from salary to remittance in a single platform. And actually, Param is already go live. We are already onboarded some of the few plantation estate in Malaysia, and we expect it to roll up in coming few months to around to 70 to 90 estate, subject to COVID situation.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, over to you.
Okay, very good. Thanks a lot. So interesting that you guys have spent 2 years of product development. So it's, I think for the audience that listening, it tells you how when you have to build your own product from scratch, it's a very serious business to try to get the technology, the platform right, correct?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
All right, good. So what we're going to do now is I've got one question, which is for all three of you, and we're going to bring back our first panelist, right? Actually, all the panelists will come back on screen now. And we'll start with Ridwan with this question, which is, we are, like I was saying earlier, we're 13 months now into the new normal. And I just want to know how the pandemic has affected, your product traction, right? So which means that customers, right? How have customers reacted to your products also in this last 13 months? So we'll get Ridwan and also Danny back on screen. And I'll get Danny to Ridwan to start that question first. I think Ezwan, the fact that they're not appearing, they want you to go first. I think that's what they're saying. Okay, there Ridwan is here now. Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Karamjit. For us, we were relatively lucky in the sense that when the pandemic first hit and people were in lockdown, I think there was a lot of uncertainty in the market.
Sure.
Just about life in general, right? I'm sure all of us felt it. So what we found is that, a lot of people, we found that a lot of people had a higher propensity to save. So, people started saving in gold a lot more. And one thing interesting that we have seen, especially in the last 12 months, is that the ratio of sells to buys, right? So generally, on our platform, people would, let's say, save 10 ringgit. And if the price moves up, they might profit take about, 5 ringgit and keep the other 5.
Okay.
But when in the last 12 months, that ratio has become a lot higher. They tend to save about 70% now, so about 7 ringgit out of the 10, right?
Much higher.
Much higher. So for us, we're one of the lucky few, I guess, especially in this pandemic world, that we onboarded quite a lot of new customers. We onboarded maybe about 30,000 new customers over the last 12 months.
Oh, wow.
But as a business, we've been focused on getting our product to customers easier.
Okay.
So, we have been working a lot with our wallet partners to be able to get our products, onto their wallet. So you wouldn't have to, download a separate app to buy gold.
That's smart. That's smart, because there are just too many apps out there, seriously.
Exactly.
Which we all know. Okay, that's smart.
So we have no, we have no dreams of becoming like a
super app.
Yeah, so we realized that we're focusing on just building the product.
Okay.
And then we look at partners to sort of help us distribute.
Okay, fine, cool. So that's the impact. But now that you are like, we're at that, people are getting used to things, right? And for these four months, how has the pace been in terms of, people, your product getting traction in the market? Is it back to the pre-pandemic momentum, or it's maintained the higher, market adoption of your product and service?
We've definitely maintained a higher momentum. So I think the last 4 months, we have done better than the previous 4 years.
Okay.
So it's definitely been good for us. And to be fair, I think it's also because of the price movement of gold. I think when gold, like I said, went on a run, a year ago, like getting used to the new prices now.
Okay, understood. Okay. But I would think before I go to Tunku Danny, Ridwan, you would think that when the price of gold goes up, people will say, I should have invested lah. Now it's too late because mahal. But what I'm hearing from you seems to be that no, they're saying, hey, better go in quickly before it goes even higher, is it?
Yeah, so the behavior of gold is, it's, even though it's an investment product, people tend to associate it more to savings.
Savings, okay.
So the entry price into gold, they don't price hunt as much. They just think that if I have some money, it's a good thing for me to put some money in gold. So unlike obviously volatility you see in markets like crypto, where people are in the hunt for the yield.
Yes.
Gold, we have seen people across all the spectrum enter at various prices up and down. And there are some traders, I guess.
Sure.
But for the most part, people tend to be relatively consistent of just putting in, 100 ringgit every month.
Or even like you said, 50 ringgit. So I understand. Yeah. So it makes it a lot easier. So the price goes up, just reinforces in you, hey, this is a good investment, right? Let me just put in that 50 ringgit. Okay, I understand. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, great. So Tunku Danny, how has the last year, been for microLEAP and your suite of products, if you can share with us?
Yeah, so we were only given go live status from Securities Commission in October 2019.
Okay.
So just before the pandemic hit. And now the COVID-19 is, unprecedented. Never has it ever been where people have been forced to stay home, forced to not spend, forced to do everything. And that made everyone go online, which is great for fintech companies such as us. So we actually saw a huge spike in terms of investments or people lending.
Wow.
The reason is, you had Bank Negara Malaysia slashing interest rates from above 3% in 2019 down to 1.75% as it is now, right? So people are looking for yield. So on our platform, our microLEAP platform, you can get returns anywhere between 10 to 15% per annum,
Okay.
And that's both on our Sharia compliant investment notes as well as our conventional.
Okay.
And actually, what really pushed us forward was actually our Sharia compliant financing, but not pushed by the borrowers themselves. It's actually pushed by the investors, the lenders. Because as a borrower, you don't really care if it's Sharia compliant or conventional.
Yeah. You just want your money,
right?
right?
Yeah. Once you get the money, you're happy, right? But but our investors, they're hungry for Sharia compliant assets. So they've been pushing that. So actually last year in April 2020, we only managed to disperse about 60,000 ringgit. This year in April 21, we've dispersed 2 million ringgit. So that's a huge spike in terms of our growth.
60,000 to 2 million. That's incredible in 1 month.
No, 1 year.
Oh, 1 year. Okay. From April. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that push has always been because of our investors. They like our Sharia compliant investment, but our investors are not only just from the Muslim community. We actually have a lot of Chinese and Indians investing on our platform.
I was going to ask you what ratio is that? Yeah, that's a really good question. Okay.
So the reason that is high is that because Islamic principles go hand in hand with ethical investments.
Okay.
We don't. If you invest in our Sharia investment notes, it's not based on alcohol, not based on gambling. Or tobacco products. So this kind of ethical investments are very popular for our non-Muslim investors. So they've been actually pushing us forward.
Wow, interesting. So there's been big momentum, and like you said, so for the first, like what I asked Ridwan, for the first 4 months, are you seeing the momentum also, on pace or increasing in terms of both borrowers and lenders, people who want to become, you don't use the word lender, right? You use investors, right? Danny?
Yes, that's right. So what we use, because we're governed under Securities Commission, even though it's exactly the same thing, we have to say investment. Because as soon as you say the word lending or borrowing, it goes under Bank Negara Malaysia, right? So actually, we have to be a bit strict on that. But basically, it's more or less the same thing. So
Yeah, understood. But the semantics there, okay. You got to work within regulations also. And actually, before I get Ezwan to answer this, because we are touching on regulation also, there was one question from one of the audience members around regulatory, issues, right? So, and this is for all three of you. Danny, you take it first, and then Ridwan, you take it second. Then Ezwan, you can talk 2 questions at one go, okay? Which are regulatory and answering this question. So, Danny, around the regulatory space, what are your thoughts? Too much, too little?
Yeah, I think regulation is, the regulators are key to any industry, right?
Okay.
It keeps the robustness of the whole industry and makes sure that all the operators are in line. I mean, in the P3 world, you look at China. When P2P burst out in the scene in what?
It was the Wild Wild West,
2007, 2010. There were 6,000 P2P operators in China, 6,000. In Malaysia, there's only 11. So you just imagine the huge difference. Okay. Now, of that 6,000, there was like little to zero regulation. A lot of people were losing money. They invested on the platform. There it's called P2P lending. In Malaysia, it's called P2P financing. It's the same thing. So there was a huge gap. There's a huge issue that now the regulator in China said that they have basically made P2P lending zero in that country.
Wow.
So they've completely clamped down. So that shows that the fact that the poor regulation really destroys the industry. We look at Indonesia as well. The OJK, that time, the P2P lenders, there were a mixture of regulated P2P lenders and unregulated.
Okay.
And the head of OJK, he came out in a statement and said, if you have borrowed money from an unlicensed P2P lender, you don't have to pay back.
Wow.
I mean, that's crazy. Yeah. The head of OJK actually said that. So we are regulated, but I think we are regulated by the Securities Commission in a fair, in a fair way.
So you see, that's good because you can regulate, but you may end up having a heavy hand and stifling innovation in your ability to innovate fast and come up with new products fast. So I'm glad to hear you say that you feel that they've managed to get the balance right.
Yes.
But I'll hear from Ridwan after this also on that.
Yes. So in terms of regulation for us, I mean, they limit the number of P2P operators and they really check and make sure that you are fit to become a P2P operator in Malaysia. And in terms of stifling and creativity, I think the SC is very pro business and pro innovation.
Okay.
I think they're perhaps a bit less stringent compared to say Bank Negara, for example.
Okay.
So I think we were happy that we have a regulator under Securities Commission.
Nice, cool. Okay, great. Thanks a lot. That's interesting. Ridwan, what are your perspectives on this?
Yeah, I largely agree with Danny. Other than our choice of football teams, we definitely agree on this. So, we have been operating since the beginning where fintech was still a buzzword, right? We have interfaced with the likes of Bank Negara and the SC over the years. Now, the gold product that we sell is technically not regulated by either.
Interesting. Okay.
And the reason why is because we hold physical gold. We actually operate, under the law as like a jeweler. But with that being said, we are a reporting entity under Bank Negara. So, we still have to follow Bank Negara's guidelines on things like AML, KYC, and all these things, right? But, I would say that, I've interfaced with regulators in the region, in Thailand, in Indonesia, and Philippines, Singapore. Malaysia is, I guess, a little bit more like Singapore. I think they're trying not to stifle innovation in the industry, and they're giving, I guess, enough room for players to be able to innovate products, and to structure products out for the public. At the same time, having enough regulation where, the market feels safe.
Yeah.
I've read the stories, like as Tunku Danny mentioned in China on the P2P stuff. I mean, it was like the Wild West, right? So it is important to strike a balance, I think, between those two, so that you'll be able, because ultimately you need to protect the end consumer, right?
Yeah.
So I think the SC and Bank Negara has done a decent enough job, at least in the Malaysian context.
Okay, nice, cool, great. Okay. We'll get Ezwan on now. Ezwan, I'm doing this in the other way around. You maybe answer the regulatory, your opinion on our regulatory environment, and then you can go to how the last 1 year has been for your product uptake, right?
Okay.
How you have responded.
In terms of regulatory, because we are governed under Bank Negara, and as what I totally agree with what Tunku Danny mentioned. Compared to SC and Bank Negara much more strict and heavy regulated, but I can understand where they're coming from. They are protecting the public money.
True.
So but having said that, also Bank Negara also is very proactive in terms of engaging with the fintech players.
Oh, okay.
So for me, I'm okay with what I need, but I think we also been talking to the regional central bank, like in Singapore and in fact in Qatar also.
Okay.
To have a comparison to see where can we expand. And I think compared apple to apple, I think our Bank Negara is more proactive and more proactive in terms of this. Okay. Coming back to your first question, Param.
Yep.
The last 1 year, actually, the pandemic has been tough for us. I can say that, to be honest. But the awareness is helping us to align back our roadmap the last 1 year. And we did a rationalization in terms of OPEX and CAPEX.
Okay.
And we did bring forward some of the milestone, and unfortunately also we aborted several growth plans.
Oh, okay.
And to be honest, also this is what have saved us now. But in a good way, what I can see also, this enables us to expedite and push digitalization within the group, and there is more acceptance compared as before. And one of the good things coming from the pandemic, because it's expedite the acceptance and the cooperation between the bank and Payfo itself.
Okay.
Before this, I can say that there's a lot of block and challenges.
Oh, okay.
But right now, I can say that things are improving. The last few months, and the banks are more open. And nowadays, in fact, we are doing some collaboration with them.
Okay. Yeah, because I saw that you work a lot in partnerships, right, with the ecosystem. Yeah.
Exactly. Right now, I can say that we are working with insurance company. We are working with the bank, and in fact, we are working with one or two ECF players in the market to create an ecosystem in our joint app.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, then what we'll do is we'll just move on to some more questions. And I know as we're talking and you guys are looking at any of the questions, if you want to answer some of those questions, you can as they come in if you want to. But one question that was sent in beforehand was whether your thoughts on P2P nano financing, right? So I'll let Ridwan take this first, and then we'll go sequentially again, then with Tunku Danny and then Ezwan. Ridwan, I mean, for you, this is, although you all don't do that, yours is more investing, right? You're allowing to pay the rest at the nano micro, in a way, it's nano micro financing also, right? Because the bite size is so small before somebody can participate in your, with your products, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So, I think one thing interesting is that actually with a lot of our wallet partners, we have been talking to them about, I don't know whether you would call it nano financing, but one of the issues a lot of wallet partners have is to top up, right? So if you're standing in line, buying your coffee and you don't have enough funds in your wallet, it takes some effort to go and do it, right?
Yes.
So what we were in talks with is that if, for example, they had a parallel gold savings account, what you could do is that you could finance that. So you could, let's say, Karamjit, your wallet, let's call it a touch and go wallet.
Yep.
You have 60 ringgit worth of gold in there. So at any one time, because the gold is held in that account, you can finance at 60 ringgit anytime because you're fully backed by the asset anyway, right? So it was kind of like a mini OD.
Okay.
A mini overdraft that you could give a lot of wallet customers, so that
I was just thinking that as you said it also, yeah.
Yeah, so as you spend and you pay the coffee and you go, 5 ringgit into OD, if you pay it back, within the 24 hours, then obviously no interest charge.
Nice, no interest charge. Okay.
Yeah, so something similar to that.
Sure.
One of the, I think, key issues within the lending space is a function of risk, right? No matter whether you're big banks or whether you're like microLEAP, where you're doing products for people who need 5,000-10,000 ringgit, it's about risk assessment, right? So the way we see our role as HelloGold in this space is that we can potentially provide some sort of collateral or safety net to a lot of these lenders, so that they would then lend to people who may not necessarily have been able to access it in the first place.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right, Tunku Danny, do you want to take this about this nano financing? And I know it's for you, because you already shared earlier that your minimum level you allow people to raise is actually quite decent also, right? It's nowhere near the nano. So what do you think of this?
Yeah, I think nano financing is possible for fintech players. The reason they can do that is mostly the cost base for many fintech players is quite low compared to, for example, banks.
True.
So in order to do that, well, first in Malaysia, no personal financing is allowed actually. So it's strictly prohibited. So it has to be a working capital or micro SME financing.
Okay.
So you have to think, if it's below 1,000 ringgit, what kind of micro enterprises really need that kind of small amounts?
Yep.
If it was a personal financing platform, unfortunately, it's not allowed in Malaysia for P2P. Then P2P nano financing will make more sense. Because, you know, for example, if it's personal financing, you know, I want to buy a phone or latest iPhone, you know, then you get the nano financing into play. But if it's going to be a working capital financing, you know, there's not going to be many issuers or borrowers looking for 100 ringgit financing, you know, for their working capital needs. They would probably want 1,000 ringgit and above, really. So yes, I think the platforms, fintech platforms can do it, but I don't think it's ready in terms of regulation because it's just too small, I think.
Too small, okay. Yeah. Ezwan, do you want to take this question or shall I move on to the next question? Do you want to
I think Karam just move on next. Just move on next question.
Okay, fine. I think there was actually there's a question that came in just a few minutes ago, right? On you know, you've got fintechs which are regulated by both the Securities Commission and Bank Negara, but there are also some which operate under the money lending license because it's apparently easier to get approval. So I'm actually not too clear on the distinction here. So maybe I'll give it to either Tunku Danny or Ezwan if you all find this interesting to answer.
Yeah, I can take this one. So money lending license, you have to get from the Housing Ministry of all things.
Really? Yeah, Housing Ministry. Wow. Yeah.
This goes to like 100-year-old act. That time it was for money lending, I guess, for your house or something like that. I mean, you know, so I know that many people who have money lending license have to go to the Housing Ministry to get that. Wow. Now, so in terms of approval, yes. Now, the difference with us and many of the money lending license holders is that they only gave a small portion, I think 8 big players that were allowed to go fully digital.
8, okay.
8. Obviously, the big names are there, Grab, and there's some other people. Under the P2P world, everything is online digital already. So yes, they are coming into our kind of, into our space. But the way I see it, the pie is big enough. I mean, there's an 80 billion funding cap for micro and MSMEs. So I think the gap is big enough for all the players to play. You know, obviously you got the big names like Aspirasi who raised 70 million USD recently.
Yes, US, yeah.
So those guys are coming into play. You have Grab Financial doing, you know, microfinancing. You have going to get Big Pay doing the same thing. You know, Asia needs to change, kind of diversify their business. So everyone is actually coming into this fintech space. And a lot of the tech companies are becoming tech companies, right? Technology first and then finance later, right? So you're going to see a lot of people going into the same piece of the pie. Now, what's going to happen when that happens is there's going to be a lot of aggregation. There's going to be a lot of the bigger players buying out the smaller ones. And for us as microLEAP, a small startup like us, it's all about collaboration. So we want to collaborate with the big guys. We want to collaborate with the wallet players. We want to collaborate with the money lenders as well. Because at the same time, we are trying to serve the same set of people. The pie is big enough, and if we can work together to help people get the financing they need, and for P2P, give them an alternative investment tool, then that's fantastic for us.
Okay, all right, so interesting. I think we've got one more question in terms of, this is from the MD of a travel company, and he's saying that there are different paces of adoption for different industries. And I think the question is, how do you enhance and create the awareness, right? Preparation for an ecosystem to build, right? That will facilitate faster pace of digitization. And I guess then that would include the three of you being able to move faster also. And it's kind of interesting that the question comes around now because COVID has been the world's most effective CIO or CTO, right? Has accelerated that for everyone. And yet there's this question about what else do you think would facilitate a faster pace of digitization, which means companies being digital and consumers also, right? Wanting to adopt more digital services and products. So maybe I'll let Ridwan take this first and then go to Ezwan and then you, Danny.
Yeah, I think, in terms of the pace of I guess, innovation for different industries, I think a lot of it is going to come down to actually people from that industry. I've come from a financial services background. I know Tunku Danny has come from a banking background. The reality is that, you know, if you allow incumbents to innovate and ask them to lead the pace, then you're not going to innovate a lot. Because the reality is that they just don't have the agility to do so. You know, of course, they know it's now important, and they're trying to do it. You see that sort of with banks. You see that with other industries, right? You know, you see that with car manufacturers. But the reality is that, you know, in order for there to be an ecosystem, people need to step out and try something on their own, right? So I mean, I came from retail financial services, and I looked at it, and you know, I was there for 6-7 years, and I realized that there was a huge gap in the market. And you know, that's what sort of prompted me to come out and you know, and say, okay, I'm now a small little startup, and I feel as if I'm not going to compete with you, you know, on a whole, but I feel as if there are certain, you know, products that can be done better. So that's sort of our strategy to do so. So I think for every industry, right, it's going to be dependent on a lot of its own people to take the risk, and then to go out and try, you know, and I think that will definitely give more gains to an ecosystem than just waiting for incumbents to do so.
Okay, interesting. I think, Ezwan, I want to bring you in now, but not to answer that question, because there's a question from Daniel, right, from Reza Merchant. And I want to ask you, he said that because as a spin-off company, Ezwan from PNB, right, and new in the fintech space, which you guys are, you know, what are the push and pull factors for you to acquire customers? Maybe not onboard merchants, because you're already talking about the fact that you are now trying to collaborate with the market seems to be more receptive now, but definitely in terms of acquiring customers, what are the push and pull factors there?
Okay, thanks, Baram. Okay, for Payfo, fortunately, we are part of the larger group, so we have a captive market around 150,000 to 100,000 workers. So that's our benefit. That's already we can capitalize using the workers, and later on we expanded to the family member. You just imagine, we multiply with 4. For example, we have around 800,000 to 1 million user. So right now we are onboarding our workers inside our platform. Okay. Particularly for Joy, for B2C app. So particularly that is the selling point for us to talk to the merchant. So we know, because what we have, the database, all what how much they pay, where do you stay, and we know all their database. So it's easier for us to bring in all the merchant. So later on, God will, maybe we expanded, open up to the market maybe by end of this year or early next year to the public.
Okay, understood. So you are right now, you're targeting your internal within the same group, right? Because you're part of, like you say, you're the youngest company in the oldest company in the country, and about close to, let's say, almost 200,000 employees. So that's the low-hanging fruit, right? So you're targeting. And even if you capture only 50% of those, or no, 50, even if 1/3, you capture, let's say, 50,000 out of the almost 200,000, that's a strong value proposition when you go to merchants and try to acquire them. That's what you're saying, right? Okay.
Exactly. And compared to other apps, it's a bit hard because they are capturing the public first. For us, we another way around. We are capturing the captive market first. We will capitalize that, we monetize that, then later on we will expand it to family member, and later on to the public.
Understood. Okay. Let's go. Ridwan, there's a question for you, which is on, I didn't think this would be an issue, but because there's a shortage of gold, how are you overcoming that? Actually, I didn't know there's a shortage of gold. You can tell I don't wear gold also, right? So.
Yeah, actually, it's an interesting question. One thing I forgot to mention is that during the height of COVID, which is sort of March, April last year, there was a squeeze on physical bullion globally because planes weren't flying and so on and so forth.
Oh, okay.
So what happened was that, so at that time we were buying bullion in Singapore from a smaller bullion distributor.
Okay.
So what happened was that the price premium on a kilo bar increased from ultimately 2% to 30%.
Seriously? Wow.
Yeah. So, we, and the problem with us was that, we had a price fee that was still only charging the 2% premium, right?
Yes.
So one of the main issues was getting the gold. But since then, because we've gotten to a certain size, we now source our bullion from MKS. Now MKS is PAMP Swiss. They're one of the largest refiners in the world.
Oh, okay.
So we get it directly now at source. So they provide all the bullion to us. So we don't. So if they have a problem with supply, then globally there's a problem.
Yeah.
So for us, there's less of a problem now.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Great. Okay. I was actually I have no idea why time is just moving so fast. Like there's so many questions I ask you all. Is like my hair is standing on end. I can't believe they're getting the 5-minute signal. So we're definitely going to stretch this a bit. Okay. If you especially got interesting questions coming in. So this is one kind of interesting question, right? Which is on if there's a significant collaboration and if you are trying to close. So maybe we'll start with Tunku Danny, right? Is there anything big, which is, to me, is any big deal, right? Collaboration you're trying to close. Of course, you can't name the company yet, but what vertical is it and why is that significant? If you assume, I'm going to assume all of you are going to be successful here. Why is that significant and what is it about? If you can give at least high level.
Yeah, I can tell you just the ones that the collaborations, the type of collaborations we have done already. So one was last year we signed, and it was during COVID. So it was an memorandum of understanding with MTDC, Malaysian Technology Development Corporation. So basically, we are the Islamic P2P partner for many of the tech companies that are looking for financing. Okay. So MTDC will fill up to 30% of the note, and the 70% be raised by the crowd on our platform. So this kind of private-public partnership, I think, is the way you go forward. So tying up with big government-linked entities like MTDC and others is the kind of how we are growing our issuer base.
Oh, okay. So to understand it, so let's say DNA wants to raise funding, right? Islamic note, and we want to raise $1 million. You're saying that if we go through your platform, 30% of that is already there from MTDC.
Yeah, so MTDC will join. Us and MTDC will jointly kind of credit assess you. It has to go through their pitching, pitching details that they do every Monday. So if you're successful and it's something that we like, microLEAP, then we will go together with MTDC to finance you.
Nice. Okay, wow, that's a huge thing, man. Okay, Ridwan, what about you? Any big deal that you're working on? So I think the question is more about what you're trying to lock in now. Tunku Danny must have a super big deal he's working on. Doesn't want to share anything around with us. That's fine.
I think I mentioned it earlier. We've been working on wallet integrations because
Oh, so that's the big thing you're trying to lock in, lah. Yeah, I mean it's so practical. Yeah, I mean honestly, if that happens, I would start investing also, right? So much easier. I definitely don't want another app.
Yeah, exactly. So we think that the wallets have done an awesome job in onboarding and acquiring customers, and obviously acquiring merchants to that matter.
Okay.
So what we think is that they are probably the best distributors for us. So we are talking to partners regionally anyway, that we no longer want to. When we went into Thailand, we went in as HelloGold with no partner, right? And it was a relatively painful experience because nobody knows who you are. Right? Yeah. So we have shifted that mindset about 2 years ago, where we said, look, we will only work with partners, and we'll become sort of the back of house for products like this. Yeah. So that's something that we've been working on, and hopefully we'll be able to announce those partnerships sometime this year.
Okay, man. Good luck to you, man. Exciting. Yeah, that's huge. I mean, you can get Touch and Go, right? Which I think we just did an article on them, whether they've got 6 million customers or whatever. It's a no-brainer, right? Or even more.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Good luck with that. Ezwan, what about you?
Okay, at the current moment, we are doing one big project with one of the local banks.
Oh, okay.
To link up their bank into Joy.
Oh, okay.
So it means that it's a seamless process whereby we are the distribution and marketing online marketing arm for them. So our captive market, our user can apply loan or whatsoever using Joy, and the token can be expanded to link up to the bank for processing.
Okay. Nice. Cool. All right, then, guys, because I forgot about the poll, Is there anything that you want to comment on when you're looking at the questions from the poll? Because then everyone can get your reaction. Because for the two of you who asked the poll questions, is it the extended or I expected this, nothing unusual, or something you find interesting from the two polls?
Yeah, maybe I can speak first. So the poll results came. So the question was, as an investor, Sharia and/or ethical investments are more important than returns. So we have 36% strongly believe, and 40% somewhat believe, 90% somewhat disagree, and 6% strongly disagree. So this is good.
Yeah, very good, man. It's almost 80%.
Yes, exactly. So it shows that, yeah, almost, what is that, 76% of people believe that as investors, Sharia and ethical investments are more important than returns. Now that's great. Now on our platform, what you will find that you get both on our platform. That's the reason I wanted to show the poll. So you can get both Sharia compliant and ethical investments, as well as good returns between 10 to 15% per annum. So we are best of both worlds. And also you can also, it's all about impact investments for us.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what we're all about.
Cool, man. All about impact investments. Yeah, impact and sustainable. I think you should put the UN's SDG, right? Sustainable Development Goals. You probably tick like a whole bunch of them, man.
Exactly, yes, yes. That's why we were on the UN CDF Accelerator Program 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, you're one of the top graduates from there. I think you're one of the companies that have done the best. The United Nations had their own accelerator. Yeah, well done.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, that little plug, okay, that's cool. But hey, today, look, isn't today Earth Awareness Day, right?
It is, yeah.
So, yeah, fantastic. So
go home and switch off all our lights when we go.
No. I mean, the fact that we're doing this online already, we've saved so much, right? We've all scored a lot of points there. But okay, sorry, Ezwan, for you now. If you look at your poll, anything you want to comment on, and then after this, I think I got to bring Prem, who's itching to come on the show again.
Okay, based on the poll, is around 48%. The main issue of deterring people from become DIY investors is security bias. This is what I think is open secret. Actually, it's true, and ROI 42% is true also. So I think more or less is just to classify on our side inquiry.
Okay. But when you talk about ROI, I mean, like Tunku Danny is talking about double-digit percentage returns, and that's like eye-popping, man. So maybe the market isn't so aware of the returns you get when you're in the P2P space, or is that an issue, Tunku Danny, that this education awareness still needs to be ramped up?
Yeah, I think it has to be ramped up. And I think we were supposed to go with the SC, that they were going to do some on-the-ground events and things like that. So that obviously were stopped because of COVID. So everyone is doing online now, but we do get some eyes on our platform, but you don't get the interaction that you want when you get
totally true.
So that's kind of pushed it back. But yeah, so definitely returns are much better. If you think at what EPF is paying, conventional was 5.2%, but Sharia compliant was only 4.9%.
Yes, true.
And that's the one thing that really bugs me. Why is Sharia compliant always worse off than conventional? When for us, it's on our platforms, it's at the same cost.
Parity, yeah. Wow, excellent. Okay, so people should look at microLEAP, right, as an option there. Very good. I want to thank the three of you. I'll get Prem back on. And by the way, Danny, there's somebody's asking you for a link, right? If you can just add that from Cheong Suk Ching.
Oh yeah, I'll have a look.
Okay, good. Okay, Prem, welcome back to the show for the roundup comments. Right on the dot, 5 o'clock. We're supposed to end, but we're doing it roundup because there's a lot important stuff to talk about, right?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the talk this time. I mean, I learned so much, whether it's about gold investment or P2P investments or other opportunities with Payfo. I think it was really interesting. I think I was really taken aback when Tunku Danny talked about 15% ethical investments. Why are we putting money in unethical investments when we can obviously put money into good opportunities and be responsible investors? I think as investors, increasingly we have to be more responsible, not just look at ROI. And I'm really glad to see that even the poll we did, we had so much of support for much more responsible investing. So, thanks a lot, Karamjit, for being our moderator today. Thanks a lot to our sponsors, microLEAP and Payfo. And, as usual, all our partners, Digital News Asia, Kini Events, Malaysia Kini, and Scale Up Malaysia. Thanks to everybody for joining us in this episode of Top in Tech. Thanks to our panelists. Great show, guys.
And thank you for all the questions also. Thank you for all the questions.
That's right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Pembiayaan antara rakan setara P2P atau peer-to-peer di Malaysia semakin mendapat perhatian sejak akhir ini. microLEAP, sebuah syarikat atau operator P2P yang telah diberikan lesen dan dikawal selia oleh Suruhanjaya Security Malaysia.
microLEAP is an Islamic and conventional P microfinancing platform. So funds are raised through our platform from the crowd. So instead of getting financing from the bank, you're actually getting financing for maybe 100 people financing your business. So we allow Sharia compliant financing on our platform. So for example, your makcik in Kuala Pilah that wants 10,000 ringgit, they may raise those funds through our platform and it will be funded by maybe 100 to 200 people.
In this era of disruption, digital is a reality of our life. You got to read more.
The telehealth services, so for the patients to be connected to doctors, Owen Kementerian Kesihatan, for the doctors to then consult and offer a referral for the patient to perform a test if required.
So if you had that level of trust already with your team members, then it's easier for you to say, okay, now that I can't see you on a daily basis, how do we then operate?
These are the actual challenges of adopting cloud. It's not about the trust anymore. It's about our infrastructure, our connectivity. Are they stable and fast enough to support the business and also the consumers to continue to adopt more cloud services?
Talented individuals with in-demand skill in any sector now realize that they can live, they choose and work where they qualify. And talent is the new global currency.